In May 1845, two of the most powerful exploration ships in the world, the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, sailed out from England. Their mission was to find a shortcut through the freezing Arctic, a route known as the Northwest Passage. The leader of this journey was Sir John Franklin, and his ships were absolute masterpieces of technology for that time. They had heavy iron plates to smash through ice, massive locomotive steam engines, and enough canned food to last the crew for 3 whole years. Everyone thought this mission was impossible to fail. But after they entered the cold Arctic maze, both ships vanished without a trace. 129 elite sailors disappeared into thin air. For more than a century, nobody knew what actually happened to them. Today, we are looking at the real historic diaries, the medical reports, and the underwater discoveries to find out the dark truth behind this mystery. For the first 2 years, the British government wasn't worried at all. They knew the ships were packed with supplies and could easily survive 3 brutal winters in the ice. But by 1848, the silence became terrifying. There were no letters, no emergency messages, and no updates from the crew. The Navy quickly launched the biggest search and rescue operation in history. Dozens of rescue ships sailed into the freezing Arctic channels from every direction. But the Arctic is a brutal maze of giant ice walls and freezing fog. The early rescue teams searched for miles but found absolutely nothing. It was as if the 2 giant ships and their entire crew had been swallowed whole by the ocean, leaving no debris behind. It took almost 10 long years for the first clues to turn up. Search teams walking along the frozen shores of King William Island finally found the remnants of abandoned survival camps. Scattered in the snow were piles of empty tin cans, old clothing, and a small official paper note hidden inside a pile of rocks. That handwritten note, written in April 1848, told a horrifying story. Sir John Franklin was already dead. The 2 ships had been completely stuck in thick, solid ice for 19 months. The remaining crew had abandoned the ships and were trying to walk hundreds of miles south across the frozen wasteland to find safety. The note showed they were desperate, but it raised a huge question. Why would an elite crew leave their warm, heavily supplied ships to walk into certain death? The real answer came decades later, when scientists examined the perfectly preserved frozen bodies of 3 crew members buried deep in the Arctic ground. The medical test results shocked everyone. The bones and hair of the sailors contained incredibly high, toxic levels of lead. The mystery was traced back to the advanced technology they were so proud of. To save production costs, the company that manufactured their canned food had sealed the tin cans using cheap lead solder. Over time, that toxic lead leaked directly into the meat and vegetables. Every time the crew ate a meal, they were slowly poisoning themselves. The lead poisoning caused extreme weakness, severe paranoia, and mental breakdowns. The crew was literally losing their minds, destroying their ability to make smart decisions to survive. As the poison took over their brains, the men started acting completely out of character. The physical evidence shows that when they abandoned the ships, they didn't just carry survival gear. Instead, they loaded massive, heavy wooden lifeboats with useless luxury items like heavy silver forks, pocket mirrors, boot polish, and religious books. They dragged these incredibly heavy boats across the rough ice, wasting their last bits of energy on things that couldn't save them. Even worse, when scientists analyzed the human bones found at their final campsites, they discovered deep-cut marks. This proved that in the final weeks, when the food ran out and total madness took over, the last survivors turned on each other just to stay alive. For over 160 years, Nobody knew where the ships finally sank. But in 2014 and 2016, the Canadian government used advanced underwater drones and side-scan sonar to map the area. The results were incredible. Both the HMS Erebus and HMS Terror were found sitting almost perfectly intact at the bottom of the ocean. Surprisingly, the hulls weren't crushed by the ice. In fact, one of the ships was found carefully anchored inside a protected bay. This proves that the story we knew wasn't entirely correct. A small group of sailors must have stayed behind on the ship or went back to it, trying to guide the vessel home until the very end. Right after the ships were found, the government stepped in. The entire area was declared a highly protected National Historic Site. Today, the military strictly monitors who goes near the wrecks, and private divers are completely banned from the area. While the official reason is to respect the final resting place of the crew, there is a much bigger political game going on. The location of these ships is right in the middle of international disputes over who owns the Arctic and its valuable, newly melting shipping lanes. The remains of this 1845 fleet are no longer just a historical mystery. They are a high-stakes asset locked away by modern governments. The story of the Franklin expedition shows us what happens when human pride tries to challenge the raw power of nature. It's a dark reminder that our greatest inventions can easily become our graves if the environment turns against us. The maps are updated, the wrecks have been found, but the freezing Arctic still holds the exact details of their final moments. Thank you for watching this full documentary. If you like historical deep dives that tell the raw truth without the fluff, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment with the word ICE below to show you watched until the end, and I'll see you in the next video.